Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. It has been a while, I know, and I feel like every time I post a new video I always talk about how I have not posted in a while and how I want to be more consistent. And all I'm going to say right now is life is busy, so I can't promise consistency on here, but what I will promise are videos when I can do them, and I hope you still watch and support when the time comes for those videos. Second year of law school is wild, and as you can see from the title of this video, I will be talking about law school. So if that is what you want to see more of on my channel, if you want me to talk more about my law school experience and more about things or advice or anything that I have, please, give this a thumbs up and leave a comment just so I know. Like, I'm still figuring out what it is I'm doing here on YouTube. But it is a supplement to my blog, which you should check out, anygivensunday.com, and my Instagram at anygivensunday. Speaking of which, on my Instagram, I posted a question box basically asking for any law school related questions for my November Q&A, and that is what I will be answering today. But before we get into that, you might be wondering, Annie, where are you going? Like, what, where, what, why, what, whatever. First of all, none of your business. Second of all, nowhere. I'm not going anywhere because we're in a pandemic and cases of COVID are rising, which is really unfortunate, but it is the holiday season and I figured I would at least bring a little bit of holiday cheer with, a holiday look and a nice beautiful top, and all of the details on this top and of course this hair will be linked in the description box below in case that's what caught your attention. But anyways, now let's actually get into the content of this video, which is a law school Q&A. So I posted a question box on Instagram and I pretty much got two buckets of questions, or I saw two buckets of questions that were about my experience, questions that were asking me about like what I wanted to do, or like things that were personal to me, and then questions that seemed to be asking about like what the person asking should do or asking for advice. So I'm going to try to sort those questions like in the video based on that, but I really haven't done much planning for this video because life is crazy and this is the time that I have to film, and so I'm just jumping in front of the camera, yeah, all that fun stuff. So bear with me, we're just gonna be like rolling with the punches as I see them. Yeah. All right, so I had to pull the sleeves up on this shirt because I realized it really looked like I wasn't wearing a shirt, and like I know I showed you guys that I was, but I was just really paranoid that like it just looks like I'm not wearing clothes, but whatever. Let us get into the first question, and I also think I'm going to be posting some answers to questions on the blog, just to incentivize you checking that out as well. But also follow me on Instagram because that's probably an easier way to reach me if you have any follow-up questions, or if you want me to answer a question in a subsequent video. The first question is, what made you want to go to law school? What made you choose going to law school? What are some of your deciding factors? Another, what made you want to go to law school? So generally just a why law school. Cool. So part of me wants to say that I was, one of those kids who had always wanted to be a lawyer. And I don't think that's a real reason to want to go to law school. I think you need time to figure out what it means to be a lawyer. I think what it means to be a lawyer like changes through every generation, through, how the legal market changes, etc. But for me, part of it was the like, oh, that's what I like always envisioned or imagined myself doing, mainly just because of the substance of the work and the versatility of the work, right? Like, you can be a lawyer that's in corporate law, you can be a lawyer that is an entertainment lawyer, you can be a lawyer that is a civil rights lawyer, you can be a prosecutor, you can be a judge, right? So the versatility, one, drew me into that because I think and maybe that's more relevant to as I'm getting older or more grown or whatever it is, I'm still learning what it is that I want to be or what it is that I want to do as a lawyer. But so I took time off between college and law school. And for me, I was a teacher, I was a history teacher. And for me, everything that I taught screamed like, you want to know more about this from a legal perspective. This angers you, and it angers you because of the law. And it seems like everything that I was studying, even as I studied sociology in college, and as I was a history teacher in the 2 years after college, for me, it was just like, I really want to understand this from a legal perspective. Like there were things that angered me about the way our society functions and works, and there were also things that made me feel like being a lawyer could help with some of those things. So that was what drove me to go to law school. I also want to add, because someone asked if me going to law school was planned, like after teaching. And it more or less was. I went into teaching thinking I am probably going to spend 2 years here. I didn't do Teach for America. So it was planned, but I also wanted to like use teaching as an experience to just see like, hey, if I'm interested in this, if I'm interested in just being a teacher long term, then I don't need to go to law school, and then I can, you know, think about that as a path. But it more or less was planned from like my college graduation. I had known that I was going to look for a job and be there for a short amount of time and go to law school. Oh. Wow. Excuse me, bless me. Yeah. Then there are also a couple of questions about like me knowing what area of law I want to practice. Do I want to know what I want to specialize in? Do I know what area of law I want to practice? The short answer is no. And that's okay. And I say that because you come to law school thinking you have an understanding of what it is to be a lawyer and what your options are as a lawyer, right? Like, you hear of the prosecutor and the defense attorney that you see on TV and in the movies. You hear about the big shot entertainment lawyer because that's, you know, flashy. And you also hear about, you know, the Bryan Stevensons of the world who are doing amazing, incredible work in the criminal legal system. And you don't really hear much else. And as a law student, you have you have 2 summers to get work experience before you become a full-time attorney, which is not a lot of time if you think about it. If you think about the 3 summers that you had in college to experiment, to try different things, to travel, and then, you know, maybe the couple of years or the however many years you took off. So you come to law school, you're thrown into all of these different options. You know, they're like, this is what you can do with the law degree. This is what you can do with the law degree. Da, 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 da. And then you're just like, but you have 2 summers to decide before you like pick your first job, which kind of really is 1 summer, because for a lot of law firms, which Columbia, to be very transparent, like a lot of people at Columbia go to law firms, that is usually your 2nd summer. And a lot of times the place that you spend your 2nd summer is probably the place that you're going to be working full time as soon as you graduate law school. So that's really not that much time to figure out like what you like and what area of law you want to practice in, which is why it's so important to, if you're not sure, go to a place that provides a lot of options. I don't know. I've been thinking about a lot of things. I've been thinking about if I want to incorporate the work I do as a blogger and influencer into the work I do as a lawyer. What I do know is I am still figuring out what it is that I want to do. There are a lot of things that I'm passionate about. And I said this when I answered questions a while back on Instagram, but being passionate about something in general doesn't necessarily translate to being passionate about something from a legal perspective. You can like sports, you can love all the sports in the world, and then realize it's really different when you tackle sports from a legal perspective. Then there was a slew of questions about whether or not I'm liking law school, what are the things that I like and dislike about law school. So whether I'm liking law school. We're in a pandemic, so there's that. That might make law school, I mean, it definitely does make law school significantly less enjoyable. But what I will say is, First year of law school, you are assigned a curriculum. So some things might resonate with you, some things may not, but a lot of it is stuff that, you know, is interesting from a learning perspective, but may not actually be applicable to, you know, your daily practice as a lawyer. What I mean by that is, like, yeah, constitutional law is very important, but how many lawyers are actually, you know, practicing or engaging in the practice of constitutional law? I want to say very few. What I will say is I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy having people around me who are interested in engaging in these topics. But I don't know, I think there are a lot of things that have happened this year that make law school significantly less enjoyable, especially as a second year law student. Obviously, the big, the obvious answer is the pandemic. Not much we can do to control that. But I think there was just a lot of pressure, especially on second year law students at Columbia specifically. You have the fact that we are on journals, right? So that's an extra amount of work, which obviously we signed up for, and it's interesting. Like, it's actually interesting, and that's part of the reason that I realized that I'm like such a nerd, because I'm like reading some of these things and I'm like, oh, like this is so fascinating, whatever. But that's work. Then you have the fact that, at least at Columbia, second year law students are the ones who run organizations. So second year law students are the ones who are president and vice president and on the boards and whatever. So we're running organizations, right? We, because we are in a pandemic, we did not get grades our second semester of law school. And so there was a lot of emphasis placed on the classes that we take this semester to, you know, to not only choose courses, black letter law courses, but to excel in them, because like we also don't have jobs yet. Not that that would have changed the level of effort that we put into work, but there's this once again added pressure of you need to choose a lot of black letter law courses. You need to, you know, do a journal. You need to run these organizations because it's your turn to run these organizations, and thus support all the 1Ls who are here and don't really, like, you know, have no clue what's going on in this virtual world, in this law school world. And then you also need to like search for a job in the middle of all of this in January. Go. Yeah, have fun. So this has definitely been a tense semester, and I imagine it will be just a really long year, honestly, and it has not been that enjoyable I'm really being honest with you, and you know, I'm hoping next semester might feel a little better once we get past, you know, the major writing assignments that we have for our journals, once we get past the job search process and all of that. But it has definitely been an overwhelming year. And all I will say is, anyone who says that 1L is the worst or the hardest year of law school probably didn't do their second year of law school in a pandemic. A related question is, do I think law schools are appropriately handling the pandemic? I can only speak from Columbia Law School's perspective, but no. And I'm trying to be sympathetic or empathetic to the fact that this is a lot for anyone. It's a lot for law students, and it's also a lot for people who are trying to run law schools. So I'm understanding of that. But you asked the question of, do I think they're handling it appropriately? And from my perspective, it doesn't feel great. It does not feel great at all. There is the aspect of grades. And you know, bringing grades back, and just the logic behind, like a lot of law schools have done that, but I think specifically the logic behind bringing them back, it just seems very bogus, to be honest. Not much has changed between what we went through when this started and what we are going through now. The circumstances for a lot of people have still remained the same, and it's picking up and potentially getting worse again. And so we're getting into this habit of normalizing what is not normal, because this is not normal and it never will be normal. And we're just saying like, hey, you know, we got to stay competitive for a job market. And this is the thing for me, and I'm going to go on a mini rant. And like, at what point do people acknowledge that a lot of the traditions, a lot of the norms that we have are human made, right? Like, grades being an important factor in the job search, in the job process, that's because human beings who hold the position of the people who give out these jobs decided that that is the case, right? And also decided that is the case because law schools also give them that as a factor, right? So if a school said, yeah, we're just not doing that this year, or our grading system is different, right? Maybe people would have to adjust, maybe. And if they don't, that would be really trash. Like, that would be really trash. But what I'm saying is, right, like, no one else has gone to law school in a pandemic but us, but the people who are in law school right now. And I wish there was a lot more empathy for the fact that, like, law school is incredibly stressful enough as it is. Throw this in for a prolonged period of time, right? And it's just like, wow. My productivity has not just shifted simply because I've been doing this for 8 months, right? Like, you know, I'm not more focused now just because I'm used to it, which I'm not, right? So I don't think there is an acknowledgement of the fact that, like, what we are trying to normalize is still not normal. And just because we've thrown some more Zoom trainings for our professors in to make it appear that, you know, things are running more smoothly, that doesn't change the fact that, like, it is unfair. It is unfair that some students have access to different resources than others. That was always the case, but it's exacerbated in a pandemic. And I think there have been a lot of just like things, what I'll say is this: I feel like also as a student trying to run a student organization, not run it, I'm only the secretary, yeah, but being on the board of a student organization, it feels like there's an incredible amount of work that we as students are trying to do to still build a sense of community, work that the law school should be engaging in, because everyone feels disengaged across the board. So the short answer is I don't think law schools are I don't think my law school is handling the pandemic very well, to be honest. And I wish there was more support for students who are trying to lead these organizations that are trying to build community on campus, because community building in a pandemic, or, you know, just general maintaining community in a pandemic, is not a job for students. It is a job for the people who whose job it is. And I'm only here for a short amount of time. And I'm also here to get a legal education. But I also care a lot about the organizations that I am a part of, enough to want to help, but not enough to feel like this is something that is just like a wall that we keep hitting. That was a very long and roundabout answer to pretty much suggest dissatisfaction. And I've heard it from a lot of other students on campus who are leading organizations, and students just in general, just like fatigue and dissatisfaction with the way law school is going. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. Then there were a couple of questions about how am I not exhausted all of the time, and what makes me stay so motivated. I don't know if the exhaustion question was a rhetorical question, but I will answer it anyways. I don't know. I'm trying to first gauge if I am exhausted all the time, and I don't think I am. I used to be big on naps, especially my first year of law school. Well, not big on it, but I would feel times during the day where I was just immediately so tired that I was like, I can't really function. And I don't experience that much. I don't experience it at all anymore. So at the very least, like, I'm going through my days completely fine and not exhausted. And how, I don't know. I know one thing is I don't really compromise on sleep, or I can't really compromise on sleep. The whole, like, let me pull an all-nighter. Don't get me wrong. There is enough work for me to do for me to stay up 24 hours a day. Like, I can fill up 24 hours, 7 days a week. I can fill it up with work. There is enough work to do. And that's been a big thing, like, especially this second year of law school, the notion, or the, like, me coming to the conclusion that, I'm not going to get everything done. right? So it's about being smart. Like there's no way I can do all the readings plus the writing assignments I have, plus the journal assignments I have, plus the work that I have for Bolsa board, because I'm on Bolsa board, plus like, you know, relaxing or sleeping or talking to my family, because those are all important things, working out, exercising, because like I need to be healthy or I want to be healthy. And that's like my personal time, right? Like there's no way I can do all of those things. So I have to prioritize. And I do. And one of the things I prioritize is sleep. Hey, maybe I wanted to stay up past midnight and like, you know, to do some work, but I'm tired and I'm not being productive anymore. So I'm going to go to sleep, and I will wake up at 7 the next day and I got 7 hours of sleep, and I'm going to be productive the next day. Like there really is no point in me bending over backwards to kill myself over something that, there's got to be more to life than me like pushing myself to a burnout every single day or week or semester. And so, yeah. How do I stay motivated? I mean, it's hard to say this. It's hard to really understand. I think honestly, and I say this with the utmost humility, for a very long time, I've just been a self-motivated person. That's just who I am. I don't know why. I really don't know why I am the way I am. I don't know. I really don't know. Thank God, whatever. But how do I stay motivated? Definitely the concept of, yeah, I think the thing that helps me stay motivated the most is like the realization and understanding that it's not about me. And when I say that, I mean like I'm thinking about the future, and you know, like this is corny, but like, you know, future children. I'm thinking about my family and like, you know, what I want to be able to give them, and what I want to be able to, you know, provide. I'm thinking about my community, right? I'm thinking about the fact that I want to be able to give back to the Black community in this country. And so a lot of that motivates me, because I'm just like, it's not about me. Like I'm really not doing this just for me. It would actually be really like, it would be really meaningless if I were doing it just for me, honestly. And so a lot of times I'm like, you know, I'm working now so that other people can enjoy the work that I have put in at this point in my life. What was the hardest adjustment to make, and how did I adjust to law school after coming out of the work setting? I will caveat this, or I will give a caveat and say I never really left the academic setting because I was a teacher. And I think that definitely helped a little bit. Yes, I went from student to teacher back to student, but I was still in the realm of, you know, thinking about writing and thinking about how writing is structured, and thinking law school is very different from being a 7th grade history teacher. So the biggest adjustment that I had to make when coming into law school, I would say the amount of readings, plus not knowing if I was understanding it in the way that the professor wanted me to understand it. Because exams are your grade in law school. You get one exam. And that's pretty much your grade. You know, some people say participation is a factor, but you never really see that grade breakdown. And yeah, and when you're in a section of like 100 people, I don't know how much the professor is going to, you know, comb through your cold calls. We never know the criteria for participation grades. We do know the criteria for your exam grade. So, what I will say is this. Also, this is a side note. Like, even if you keep the grades, this could have been a year for Columbia to be like, we're not going to do the curve in the way that it's always been done, or we're going to change the curve or whatever, right? Like, there is a curve at Columbia that doesn't necessarily have to be there, and it could have been an opportunity right now to be like, we're going to remove it or something. I don't know. That was just a random thought that I had. So how did I adjust? Or that was the hardest adjustment to make, to feel like I'm not necessarily being graded on how well I did on the exam. I'm being graded on how well I did compared to others, and how well I did compared to what the professor was looking for. Because professors love to say, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer, there's no right answer. It's just about how well you argue it, etc. But I would say that how well you argue it is the right answer, right? Like, arguing it well is like, there is a right answer. There is an answer that a professor is looking for. And so feeling like the ball was hidden for most of the semester, until boom, like, here you go, have at it, and this is your grade, by the way, was definitely an adjustment. All right, so this video is probably getting super long right now, which is going to be tons of fun when editing, but these are the last questions I will answer on here. And then I'll put kind of the second half of the questions, which were about advice and tips and things like that, in a blog post. So this video is about my experience, and then any advice that I have, read up on that in a blog post. So the last questions are, does the school I attend ranking affect entry into the law I want to practice? Things you wish you knew before you got there. Heard you have to have your law career basically planned out, i.e. law track you want to pursue when you start school. Does the ranking I attend affect? Okay, so to the first question, I'm going to say what I heard someone say when I visited Columbia admissions, like on a tour. A student was deciding between Columbia and another school that wasn't in the same ranking bracket or tier, whatever. And the answer that person gave, which, I mean, it sucks, but it's real, is that the legal profession is kind of elite. And by kind of, I mean it is. And so, like, you know, some people or some places might care about ranking. Some judges, if you want to clerk, might care about ranking. But like this kind of goes back to what I said before. We talk about like the profession or the market or the legal field as if it's some abstract concept, when really it is the sum of the people who make it up, right? So it is only as elite as the people who are in the field want it to be. And so I don't know if that's necessarily helpful, but I do know that like going to a higher ranked school, yes, it will help you in terms of the jobs and the, you know, position that you want, because that is just like the nature of the world that we live in. But I'm really, really hoping that as time goes on, we move a lot away from that. Just because, like, what? Like, you're a lawyer, like, you're a lawyer.